Hey everybody, it's Audrey. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video will be, the content that you see will be my day on Sunday, but the dialogue will be my first Ask Audrey segment for YouTube. So I asked you on my social media platforms what questions you had, and then I would take a little time to answer each of them. I have 20 questions, and I'm going to go through them as you watch me kind of go through my Sunday. Question number 1, how did you fix your financials? I'm not an expert when it comes to money. I have no self-discipline, and I love to spend money. Neither my husband nor myself had any knowledge of financial responsibility when we became adults. We have shared our finances since we were 18 years old. We've had a vicious cycle of accruing debt, feeling overwhelmed, making a plan to fix it, paying it off, and then accruing it again, over and over. As we approached our 30s, we decided once and for all to change our habits. Basically, we just limited our spending. We tried the envelope system, but it was just too much work, so we kind of created a more minimal version of that. At the start of the month, we get $400 out of the ATM. 100 of it is to dine out, and the other 300 we split between the two of us, and that's our spending money. We also budget $100 per week for groceries, but we do online grocery pickup, so we don't get that in cash, we just leave it in checking. We found giving ourselves that spending money helps us not feel so restricted, so we're less likely to overspend. In terms of how we tackled debt, we listed our debts, the interest rate, the balance. We kind of used Dave Ramsey's snowball method. We tried to knock out the smallest balances first to build momentum while paying minimums on the rest. Every time we paid off one, we'd move the amount we were paying over to the next debt and so on. The most important thing I wish we would have done when we were younger, though, was live under our means. We always spent money in accrued debt because we knew we could always swing the payments, but we didn't put anything into savings or worry about the fact that we were throwing hundreds of dollars away per month in interest payments. The most important thing to remember when you're in the thick of it is not to panic. Don't focus on the big number. Take each month day by day. Before you know it, this time in your life will seem like so long ago. Nothing lasts forever. Everything can be fixed. I have a really simple budget on my Etsy shop. It's like a spreadsheet. I'll put that link down in the comments if you would like to check that out. Question number 2, how do you part with highly sentimental gifts? My mom likes to hold on to stuff. I won't call her a hoarder because I feel like that term should be reserved for people whose stuff is like impeding their quality of life. Like my mom has a lot of stuff, but her house is still able to stay tidy and it doesn't affect your ability to move throughout her home. I'm not like that. I think growing up having a lot of stuff kind of made me wary in my adult life of developing that habit. Both my husband and I like a tidy home, so we try to watch how much stuff we have. That being said, I completely understand the emotions behind keeping possessions that belong to family members. It's tough to say goodbye, but sometimes it's necessary. Here are my tips for parting with these items. Take a picture of each item from different angles and hold on to those pictures. Give yourself closure. Hold each item in your hand and think back on the memories it brings, the emotions you felt. Finally, say goodbye and give it a new life with someone else. Remember, getting rid of sentimental items does not remove memories. Those beloved people still live on in your heart and mind. Also, give yourself permission to keep a few items. You don't need to get rid of everything, just items that take up space that you don't use. Question 3, how do you talk yourself through the tough parts? When I'm overwhelmed and need to start somewhere, but just the thought of doing anything gives me high anxiety. Believe it or not, I'm constantly overwhelmed. I have a busy schedule, plus I desperately want to grow my brand. I have a million things I wish I could do each day and a million more that I must do. Feeling overwhelmed is something I'm used to. My advice is always the same. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I don't focus on everything. I focus on one thing. I make a brain dump. I get out all those thoughts in my head. Once I've done that, I look it over. I start by going through those items line by line. Let's say your brain dump said clean living room, organized laundry cabinet, have garage sale. Now, let's not focus on all of those. Let's focus on one. Clean living room. That can be done fairly quickly, right? Grab a basket and do the basket method. Maybe vacuum the floor, fluff the pillows, use a Swiffer to dust, and then you're done. You can cross that one off your brain dump. Next, organize the laundry cabinet. That might take some time. Examine the cabinet. What products will you need to organize with? Head to Amazon and buy them. Write down in your planner. Saturday, organize laundry cabinet. Okay, you've got it on the calendar. You've blocked time off to do it. You can cross it off your list and get it off your mind. Finally, garage sale. Sit and plan it out. It only takes about 30 minutes or so to plan one. Decide on a day. Write down in your planner time each day to work on it. Maybe you need to work 30 minutes a day for a week. There, now your brain dump is done. Remember, brain dump often and take everything one bite at a time. Question 4. Do you have chore charts for kids? I do. I have a few options over on my Etsy shop. I will post that link below. You can purchase a version of the 6-10 list, and I also have a summer option that I'm starting this week with my kids. Lots of possibilities there. Question 5. Do you keep toys all in one room, or do you have upstairs toys and downstairs toys? I have toys all over the house. When you have little ones, it's necessary, and I'll explain why. As you know, when you have young children, your time is valuable. There's rarely time to clean and put every item exactly where it goes. That's why I always recommend parents use the basket method all over their house when their kids are young. I'll post my article on that method below, but basically, stick baskets all over the house. In the living room, the hallway, their bedroom, your bedroom, the dining room, wherever you want. As your kids get toys out, toss them right in the baskets. The best part about the basket method is even little bitty toddlers can get the hang of it really quickly. If they're able to walk, they can do the basket method. Start them young and it will create a habit. Question 6. What are your list of pantry essentials? I have a list of my pantry essentials on my website. There's an article titled Grocery Budget Prep or something. I'll link it below, but it has a lot of good information in there. Question 7. Tell us more about your weight loss strategies. So I actually had a little setback with my weight loss. And by setback, I mean I stopped being super mindful of what I was eating and how I was moving my body. I haven't weighed myself in a while. I don't plan to again until July 12th. I just want to weigh myself like once a month now so I can avoid like obsessing about it. But I'm getting back on track, and mindfulness is definitely the most important thing for me. I have a very unhealthy relationship with food, so I binge eat, I eat my feelings. So being mindful of what I'm eating and why is so important. Right now, just to get back on track, I'm eating a very low-calorie diet for July, except for like one day a week. It's just a fun little challenge I'm doing to keep my interest. I have a video going through how I lost 20 pounds in a month, and I'll link that one below. And then I will post another weight loss video after my next weigh-in, and I can talk more about it there. Question 8. How should I handle my adult children's sentimental items that I don't want to part with? I would downsize how much I kept to 1 tote per child. That seems like a reasonable amount to store if you have a storage room. My answer for anything you plan to get rid of is the same as question 2. Take pictures, get closure. If you do plan to get rid of items, let your children know in case they would prefer to store them themselves. Question 9. What do I do with my piles when there's nowhere to put them? I can thin them, but I can't make them go away. So all piles should have a home. Paperwork should be stored in the on-the-go command center that I talk about. I'll link it below. Paperwork you're not actively using but want to keep should go in your permanent command center. I'll link that one too. I use a slot on my bedroom door for our mail that I haven't done anything with yet, but basically you need a home for all of your piles. Question 10. How did you take back your life? Did you start by journaling your goals, writing things in a planner, talking with a friend or a counselor? In other words, how did you make the initial plan and what goals did you begin with? Oh gosh, this will be a long one, I have a feeling. I'm open about the fact that my life used to be a complete disaster. I hit rock bottom in more ways than one. First area I changed was my house. That I felt was most important because it not only affected me, but also my family. I used the methods I share with you guys all the time: basket method, 6-10 list, assisted cleaning, timed cleaning, and more. I decluttered and gave every item a home. Once I had my house under control, I moved on to my finances, relationships, and our schedule. I discussed our finances above. Let's talk about relationships. So I've never been to a therapist. It's not something I could ever afford. I have a high deductible insurance plan, so that means I could spend like 14 grand before insurance pays for anything. If I wanted to go to a therapist, it would have to be out of pocket, and it's just never been in the budget. Luckily, I always have had a knack for dealing with feelings and understand what others are thinking. My husband and I used to have a very toxic relationship, lots of arguing, passive-aggressive behavior. I'm not really sure what the catalyst was, but one day we sat down and talked about our relationship. I told him what I wasn't getting. He told me what he felt like he needed. Now, we still keep those things in mind. We don't argue. If we're feeling angry or sad or hostile, we just talk about it. I'm better at this than he is. Sometimes he'll be rude or critical, and I will just sit down beside him and say, listen, something's going on. What is it? And he'll say, like, sorry, I'm just feeling cranky and I just need some space or whatever. And that's totally acceptable. We all get in those moods where we just need time to ourselves or we're cranky and we don't know why. It's typical human emotion. I parent the same way. I talk through problems with my kids. We never place blame. That's something that happened a lot in my childhood. I realized how toxic that was as an adult, so I always remind my kids, we never place blame. It helps nothing. We learn from our mistakes and we move on. Finally, let's talk about schedules. I always struggled with planners. I would buy them and then give up. I use mine now. I make notes in it constantly. It keeps my life on track. The logistics of our day goes in there. It's essential. Not only did using a planner consistently help, but also using the fridge board helps. The rest of the house uses it to track their schedule for the week. Keeping the house on track with obligations and events helps a lot. So to sum up, how did you take your life back? I did not seek help because I was confident that I could handle it on my own. I started first with my household, getting everybody tidy and on a cleaning schedule. I then moved to my relationships, then finances, and then schedule. Question 11. How do you get your family involved/willing to help with the cleaning? That's a common question. My answer is always the same: communication. If you feel like you're the only one doing the work, you need to sit your family down and have a discussion. Explain the hard truths. You're overworked, exhausted, unhappy, you need help. Now, it's not as simple as just telling them and they jump on board. What I found is that typically in each home, there's one person that's the captain when it comes to household chores. I've seen homes where it's the wife, I've seen homes where it's the husband, but typically it's one or the other, but never both partners. And you need to be okay with that. You need to accept that you're the one that sees what needs done and then delegates. I mean, not everyone sees a full trash can and says, I better take that out. They may be lazy, sure, but sometimes it just doesn't register with people. They don't see the tasks that seem so obvious to us, and I think that's okay. It's really important, though, when delegating that you don't come across as bossy. Make sure the tone that you're using is kind and thoughtful, no hidden agendas in there, no passive-aggressive behavior. A good place to start is to divide up the daily six. Each family member makes their bed in the morning, and then someone is in charge of the laundry. Someone else is in charge of wiping the counters at the end of the evening. Another person does the dishes. It's a great way for keeping your home at a maintenance level and getting everyone involved in helping. Question 12. What, if anything, have you changed in the new home plans that you are excited about? I have a whole video on the new house. I'll link it below. As I say in that video, I needed a whole new house because the memories of the old one are just too painful, specifically the memories of our pets. So the new house will be different. It has a lot of the same elements with the addition of a room above our garage and an upstairs office. But in terms of square footage, they're very similar. For our first home, we were in our early 20s, so we built a very budget-friendly home. This house will have more detail and not so basic fixtures, if that makes sense. I'm documenting the whole process. The next video on that should be around the first week of August. Question 13. I struggle with parting of clothes. I love them all. Closet is overflowing. I can't stop buying. Help. I can give you tips to maintain a tidy closet, but if you feel like you have unhealthy urges or obsessions with clothes, you may need to seek professional help. Okay, let's talk about clothes. I find that there are different levels of clothing owners. Minimal looks at clothing as a hobby or collection, and then somewhere in between. I have no emotional attachment to any object. Thank you, Mom, and my house fire. But there are people that do. A certain shirt can make you smile, a pair of pants that fits so perfectly, You need to try your hardest to remove the emotional attachment when you're going through your wardrobe. For those minimalist clothing owners, try this. Grab your 10 favorite shirts and pants. For 1 month, wear only that. At the end of the month, analyze your wardrobe. Did you miss a specific item? Did you enjoy the limitations? From there, you can make changes to your closet permanently. For those in the middle, try this. For 1 month, every time you wear an article of clothing, flip the hanger. At the end of the month, analyze the results. How many items did you wear? Was it more or less than you thought? Make changes at that point. For the clothing lovers, I suggest rotating your wardrobe every quarter. You can limit the items in your closet at one time, but you still get a variety. Question 14. Do you have a schedule or a routine for each room in the house? How would you suggest someone start? I don't have a schedule for every room. I follow my 6-10 list, so every day I wipe down my counters. That's kitchen and bathroom. Once a week I clean the bathrooms. Throughout the week, we maintain tidy rooms by using the basket method. Every evening, I do a quick pass through high-trafficked rooms, tossing items into baskets, and then I put away everything on the weekend. I employ a very simple, straightforward routine for my house. Nothing ever gets too difficult to manage, and our house always looks tidy. Question 15. I struggle to find a place for everything. I just started a series on this. I will link the playlist below. The important takeaways: you must have a place for everything. If you don't, create it. Donate items you rarely use. The place for each item must make sense. For instance, you can't store art supplies in the bathroom. No two items can share a space. The toaster can't live where the blender lives. Finally, each item needs room to breathe. Don't shove a cabinet full of items and say that's their home. Question 16. I homeschool 5 grandchildren. What do you do with their artwork and project creations? So I would take a picture of everything that they create and then turn them into photo books. Each child's work goes into its own book. I also like the removable artwork frames. I'll tag those below. Question 17. What do I do with this cabinet? It's very deep. For deep cabinets, use totes and baskets. Slide them in and out. Grab what you need, slide it back. Question 18. I've tried being very schedule oriented, but I feel really stressed about not staying on time. What are your thoughts on flexibility and having grace, especially with younger kids? What do you do when you aren't able to get your allotted tasks on your timetable done? That's exactly it. You have to have grace. I'm extremely flexible with my schedule. For instance, yesterday I had planned a bunch, but I just couldn't find the energy, so I pushed it to another day. We're all human. Life never goes as planned. I create a rigid schedule just to ensure I've thought of everything, but I'm completely fine with having to arrange my plans. Actually, the more experience you have with managing your logistics, the easier it is when plans change. The important thing is to know what's most important and can't be put off until later. I kind of do a mental analysis of my week when I'm planning it. Like, I have in my mind what's most important and what I would like to accomplish, but I know it's not required. Question 19. Do you keep any digital records of your belongings and where everything is? We now upload large purchase receipts onto our OneDrive. Obviously, we lost everything in our house fire, so moving forward, yes, we will keep important items on the OneDrive. I upload our family photos to Chatbooks. I have a subscription where they print a book every time I upload 60 photos. It's super easy to use. I will link that below. Question 20. Do you have a budget-friendly planner that you recommend? I use the Erin Condren Life Planner. It's about $60. For work, I use the Blue Sky weekly and monthly planner. I'll link it below. It's only $20 and it's a great option. Okay, Ask Audrey, 20 questions all done. I hope I was able to answer them to your satisfaction. I wish I could connect with you more often between all of my platforms and the emails, messages, comments. It's a lot for me, but I appreciate you guys so much and I want to be there for you. So I'm going to keep trying to do these segments, maybe like a couple times a week or every month or something. I really want to grow this platform. This is where I can, do these longer videos and give you more information and give you a behind the scenes look at my life. So please, if you're liking this content, please subscribe and share. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next Tuesday.